the first general of Vietnam. He was the person who led the army through its wars to protect the independence and territorial integrity of Vietnam, fighting against the French in the First Indochina War and against the Americans in the Vietnam War. He is considered one of history's greatest military strategists and was the architect of Vietnam's stunning battlefield victories against France and the United States. He stood up for Vietnam's independence in the face of Western imperialism and greatly impacted the future of Vietnam. He was Vo Nguyen Giap, the legend of Vietnam. Vo Nguyen Giap was born in 1911 and died in 2013. His political and military career lasted for 64 years. His political activism began in April 1927 when he was expelled from school in Hoi, which is located in central Vietnam, as a result of protesting against the colonial education of the French. He and his friend Nguyen Qua Vong were protesting the expulsion of their friend Nguyen Tu, who is considered the leader of many other strikes at their school, which undermined the French control. After getting expelled, he returned home and came across the text French Colonialism on Trial, which was written by Ho Chi Minh. He recalled that the essay inspired us with so much hatred and thrilled us. It was the first strand of the cable that would eventually bind his fortunes with those of Ho Chi Minh and the revolutionary cause in Vietnam. In the summer of 1928, Vo Nguyen Giap returned to Hoi. This marked a turning point in his life because it was when he became a revolutionary. He joined the Tong Viet Party under the ideology of nativism. He played a key role in spreading the ideas of Marxism throughout the party. He joined the Nye Tinh Soviet movement in October of 1930, which was comprised of a series of uprisings, strikes, and demonstrations by Vietnamese peasants, workers, and intellectuals against the colonial French regime. Giap was imprisoned and then released in 1931. On May 3, 1940, Vo Nguyen Giap met Ho Chi Minh in China, starting his military career, and became more involved in the revolution against the French. He participated in the construction of the revolutionary bases in Cao Bang and the development of a military training program for the Vietnamese. On December 22, 1944, he founded the Vietnam Propaganda Liberation Army with 34 people. This was the predecessor to the Vietnam People's Army. In 1945, recognizing the unstableness of the world right after World War II, the Viet Minh launched a revolution known as the August General Uprising, which seized power from the Japanese and the French. Before the Western powers had time to return, the Viet Minh declared independence on September 2, 1945, set up a nationalist government under Ho Chi Minh named the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. However, the French wanted to reassert their colonial control over Vietnam. They reinvaded South Vietnam and were planning to march to the north. Despite many pacts being signed between the governments of Vietnam and France, the French government issued an ultimatum on December 18, 1946, demanding the disbanding of Vietnam's self-defense forces, leaving the French stationed there responsible for maintaining order in Hanoi. In response, on December 19, 1946, Ho Chi Minh called for a national resistance and the First Indochina War started. Under the leadership and command of Vo Nguyen Giap, the North Vietnamese army overcame hardships through many battles to help win independence and territorial integrity against the French. The first counterattack under the command of Giap marked a significant event in Vietnam's history. It was North Vietnam's first victory in the First Indochina War that defeated the French strategy of fight fast, win fast. On May 28, 1948, he became the first general of Vietnam at 37 years old. In September 1950, General Giap began his main attack in a series of battles, which led to many significant results: expanding their bases, destroying the enemy, developing guerrilla warfare, and changing of a variety of senior officers. All served as a prelude to the decisive battle of the war, the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. The Dien Bien Phu battle was the final battle in the First Indochina War, which lasted for 55 days. It is known as the Climax Battle. With the victory of the North, it was a major turning point in ending the First Indochina War against the French and the start of the Vietnam War against America. Moreover, it had created a movement against colonialism throughout the world. The victory confirmed the French defeat, but it also confirmed the talent of Vo Nguyen Giap's military ability. The United States aided the French from 1950 to 1951 and rapidly increased its support the following 3 years to help the French win the war and to avoid the falling of Vietnam to communism. But the result of the war wasn't what the U.S. had planned. After the French surrender at Dien Bien Phu, a peace agreement set up an arrangement for Indochina's future at the Geneva Conference in 1954. Vietnam was temporarily divided at the 17th parallel, with the North under communist control and the South under a democratic government supported by America. According to the Geneva Accords, general elections were to be held to reunite the nation in July 1956, but Vietnam still had much internal conflict, and the elections never occurred. Therefore, the ending of the First Indochina War was an opening to a new war, the Second Indochina War. This ideological war against the United States would become known as the Vietnam War. General Vo Nguyen Giap continued holding a leadership position in the Vietnam War against the United States. However, he faced many challenges in his positions due to the division of political ideas and the government's struggle to define itself. In 1959, Vo Nguyen Giap proposed opening the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was a network of paths that began in North Vietnam and ended in the South. This now famous trail was used to send weapons, soldiers, food, and other supplies to the Viet Cong and North Vietnam Army forces located in South Vietnam. It was an important strategic pathway for the military's use, and it was one of the reasons why the North Vietnamese people won the war. The Ho Chi Minh Trail became one of the main targets during Operations Rolling Thunder, which was a bombing campaign by the United States over North Vietnam. The battle at Khe Sanh was commanded by General Vo Nguyen Giap, and it was a critical battle during the Vietnam War in 1968. The battle lasted for 77 days between North Vietnam Army and Viet Cong troops versus United States Marines as part of the Tet Offensive. It has been recognized as a military victory for the United States. However, it proved to be a political defeat for the president's administration. This event elevated the anti-war movement in the United States, which marked a significant turning point in the Vietnam War as public support dwindled. The Vietnam War ended in 1975 with the victory of the North. Since this time, the North and South have been unified as one independent country under a communist control. General Vo Nguyen Giap remained in politics and retired in 1991 at the age of 80. Although General Vo Nguyen Giap supported communism, which was opposed by many politicians at that time, he used it to stand up for Vietnam's independence against the French in the First Indochina War and against the United States in the Vietnam War. He is considered a symbol of patriotism and steadfastness to the Vietnamese people today, and is remembered as someone who is always determined to protect the independence and territorial integrity of the nation. The world recognizes him as a military talent. The nation regards him as a hero, and in the hearts of the Vietnamese people, he is a legend.
History will judge him as a communist, perhaps, but the way I look at it is that he took a stand. Even though he was a communist, he wanted independence from the rest of society or from the democratic society, and so therefore I cannot blame him for standing up for what he believed in, because we all have different beliefs, and of course we know that communism is wrong and that his beliefs have proven to be wrong, but nevertheless you cannot take away from him the drive that he had to seek out independence, and therefore he fought for it, and he fought very vigorously for it. So it's twofold. It depends on what you believe in versus what he believed in. But history will judge him as being one of the best generals of the Vietnam War.